All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the group. Today we're playing Achtung Cthulhu, our first actual game. If you guys found us playing Alien, I hope you'll stick around and check this out. It's a game that I've been stalking for years, and I'm so excited about it because, at age 35, I had the choice between cooking meat outdoors or learning about World War II, and I chose World War II. So the I'm suddenly having a refresh issue. What's going on there? Anyway, so here we go. We're going to start with the first mission of the campaign Shadows of Atlantis, and we're excited to have a lot of fun. I'll put some links down in the description on YouTube. Check me out online. This year is a big year for me from the standpoint that I have three new novels coming out this year, with the first one in March. So if you want to check me out online and take a look at all that, that would really mean a lot. And here we go. Players, I've lost video. I don't know why. I've tried reconnecting. You guys can hear me, right?
Roger.
All right, so screw it. If this is the worst that Roll20 does to us
Excuse me
today,
for
we're going to
interrupting,
count
but am I the
ourselves
only one
lucky.
who's lost Marty?
That's what I was wondering too. No, I lost him too.
Reconnect if you go to your picture of yourself, a reconnect button at the top of your picture.
Hello, hello?
I got you.
I hear you, and you keep disappearing. I had him for a second, now he's gone again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I hear you now.
Okay. Kyle, you hear me?
It does not appear that Kyle can hear you.
I
He
cannot.
told me.
Software are you
Yeah,
using?
he can't hear you. He just told me he can't hear you.
What software are you using for your recording?
Just OBS Studio, same thing I've always used.
Yeah, I wonder if it's interfering with your connection.
It's never happened before.
Interesting. I can hear everyone else.
Do you, Kyle? Do you see the little indicator that's turning clockwise, like
I
underneath
do,
this
yeah.
isn't floating? Yeah. So we don't.
Connection to Hachiman.
Gotcha. So Kyle and I have the same experience where it's giving us the connection lost verbiage, and then there's like a loading symbol that's turning. The difference between Kyle and I is I can still hear Marty, can't see him, and he can't see or he can't see or hear Marty.
That's correct.
All right. Hold on. I'm going to.
And apparently now I can't hear him either because I see his like speaking bar moving, but I hear no sound. I'll try reconnecting again for what it's worth. Hello? Hello?
I hear you
I can hear
fine.
you.
The second I come back in, it goes back to connect, but sometimes I manage to hear you and sometimes I don't.
Hold on. Uh, Too much to ask to not have any troubles with Roll20, huh? We haven't had any trouble in quite a while, and now all of a sudden we're having trouble. Go figure.
Speak
Hello?
and hit it again.
Well, that's why
There's Marty, I see you.
that's why I have a mute button on my headphones. I have a button right by my thumb.
Kyle? Can you hear
Yep.
me?
I gotcha.
All right.
I get you guys.
All right. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened. I just exited, came back, and here we go. So, it we've been too lucky with Roll20 for too long, I'm afraid. It had to happen eventually, right? All right. So, Mission 1, Vienna. It is the last days of August of 1939, and the storm clouds that have been gathering over Europe are set to break any moment. You're on the eve of war, it seems. You are all working for Section D British intelligence, and you have been sent to Vienna. You've been sent to Vienna to meet one Gisela Waltrun by your Section D handler, Captain Strang. It was a long journey, but you've arrived. According to Strang, your Section D handler, you are to meet with your contact, Gisela Waltrun, here at the Cafe Gugelhupf at table 4. She warned you she's Abwehr, German military intelligence, so watch your back because she's a spy. But for some reason, she's reached out to Section D and wants a meeting. You're to find out what she's after, but tread carefully. The Nazis have eyes everywhere. Even their spies are being watched by other spies. Why she's approached Section D is something that needs investigating. I believe it is safe to assume upon your arrival in Vienna, the first thing you guys did was acquire hotel rooms. So if you have something that you have to stash because you can't carry it around in Vienna, which Vienna, of course, part of Austria, is Nazi occupied. Has
Is it
been
1938, 1937?
30 since the occupation since 38. Yeah,
So the Anschluss has happened, I take it?
it has. It
Okay.
absolutely has. Which, of course, your characters don't know this, but anyone who knows history knows that if you're in the last few days of August of 39, the invasion of Poland is about to happen. So, which really
Now,
sets off the war.
is this our first mission together,
This
or what's the consensus on that?
dealer's choice, up to you guys. Do you guys know each other?
I think it's easier if we
Silence.
do, but it doesn't matter either way.
Yeah, it's probably easier if we
Well,
do.
um,
But I didn't want to rob us of any role play opportunities. So maybe this is we know each other, but maybe not
Haven't
super
worked for
well.
a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Passing acquaintances that are now being thrown in together.
um, maybe it's more than that, but um, maybe it would be helpful to fill in some of the backstory for each character that we might have learned when we were doing some training together.
I like that.
I can start. Henry Baker is American, and he, for lack of a better word, he still is a crime boss in the Cincinnati area with aspirations to lead the Cincinnati organization. Uh, he he doesn't he doesn't make he doesn't talk about this much, but it has slipped here and there. Um, Especially the handler might have chided him a couple times, but you guys know he speaks excellent German without any American accent. He sounds like a native. His given name was Heinrich Becker. Now he fought in World War One, but he spent most of his time trying just to stay alive, which yielded him a bunch of skills and experience he uses every day running the crime syndicate. Also, due to this war experience, he has a fondness for non-coms and enlisted, and a significant distrust of officers.
I like it.
All right. Who wants to go next?
All right, so I'm playing Valentine Slim Hughes. Pa called him Slim, so that's what he goes by. He's from West Texas, sort of a heavy drawl, kind of a country bumpkin, not the smartest kid, but he knows how to shoot, he knows how to drive, kind of has this outlaw mindset. He got sort of, I don't know if duped is the word, but he got roped in on a bank robbery as a getaway driver with his friends, and he got caught. And the judge told him, his options were prison or the army. And so he signed up in the army, and he's part of like a mechanized unit. It's kind of unclear how he ended up in this section, but he's kind of a young, athletic kid, not a whole lot of intelligence, um, but eager. So
All
looking
right.
forward to seeing where he goes.
All right. Jim, you want to tell us about Walter Pilecki?
Sure. Walter Pilecki is the cousin of a Vitold Pilecki, who at this point in history is a veteran of the Soviet Polish War or Russian Polish War. I think it was maybe back then. He is a Polish cavalry officer, not Walter, but Vitold. Walter is the younger cousin who did a stint in the Polish military, but then found himself caught up in academia after he was sent to England and was picked up by. I'm sorry, what is the name of the section?
Well, Section D is the
Yeah,
military intelligence. Now, Section M is the cult section.
right. So Section M, he was adjacent to Section M and did learn some stuff, but is not a cult practitioner, but does dabble in it, and is really interested in both science and the metaphysical, which is why he's been brought into the fold.
I like it. All right, Sharif.
This is Inspector General Khan Amir Singh, who hails from the north of India. He is a Sikh. He is erudite, articulate, fastidious, speaks in a deep baritone, virtually very little accent, but he's fluent in a number of languages, including Punjabi, English, obviously, Arabic, etc. He was a constable in his home province, and he's spoken a few times of battling thuggy cults and human trafficking until he inadvertently discovered a black magic cult of Kali, which opened his eyes to the greater mysteries and the esoteric war taking place behind the scenes. And ever since, he has seen it as his duty to protect the welfare of humanity. And so he was recruited by the British military to do that work for them. And so he continues to do so. And I think that's it.
All right, very good. By the way, I just looked at your spell sheet and reread your or read your shall we say reflavored spell names, and I'm a big fan.
You know what I did after we spoke the other day? I went into my first printing of the deities and demigods and
Oh,
looked at the Indian pantheon because I couldn't, for the life of me, remember. Like, I mean, I know the big ones, Vishnu, Brahma, that sort of thing, but like to get into the specifics of. So yeah, that's I drew from there.
do you have any
That's
idea how much
fantastic.
that book is worth?
I do indeed. I
Yeah,
looked it up once. Yeah, I was quite
yeah.
shocked.
Noble Knight Games emails me once a month asking to buy mine, and I keep saying nope.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, because I accidentally was looking through their wanted list and might have let slip that I had it, and with the Cthulhu mythos, that's the one everybody wants, right?
That's right. Yeah,
So,
very rare,
Yeah, I
apparently.
got that one too. It's it's sitting stored away.
do you guys
Uh,
have Second and Charles stores anywhere where you're at?
no,
Okay.
I
No,
don't know
not
what that
familiar.
is.
Yeah,
Do any
me
of you
neither.
have Books a Million?
No, half price
Familiar.
books is the only thing we have. Kind of
Okay.
like that's a chain out here.
So Books a Million is kind of a more middle class version of Barnes and Noble. I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know any other way to put it. They're
Hmm.
less highbrow than Barnes and Noble pretends to be. Um, and Second and Charles is another arm of Books a Million that focuses on used books and consignment. So you find some really interesting things there. And they have a role playing section. They've got a third edition, just a third edition monster manual in there for $70. It's like I sold all that stuff years ago for next to nothing. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
But I came across a John Maddox Roberts Conan novel that I didn't have there in paperback for like a buck, and I was like, this is probably $4 or $5 on thrift books. But anyway, okay, sorry about that. Just an aside.
What's everyone's ranks, by the way, and how do you want to refer to each other while we're undercover?
Undercover is a really interesting concept when you have a Sikh with you.
Yeah, yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Interesting
Good
point.
point.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I have a bit in mind about hats, by the way, Sharif. So that may come up.
Like put a chef's hat over it.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I just think
it's a slight problem because I know that in Sikhism, turbans are regarded as sacred. I mean, you're not supposed to defile them or touch them or like even insult them. So
right,
um,
right.
No, and it's
just want to try to be
really not
respectful of
even
that.
supposed to take them off except in extreme circumstances, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
quite
mean, it
interesting.
is Vienna. I mean,
I mean, Vienna's the third largest city in Europe at this time. It's a very
yeah.
metropolitan place, even if and certainly very bohemian, even if it is under Nazi occupation on the eve of war. But,
Right.
so I'm sure some of the people there have seen stranger things, maybe.
I mean, it may not be odd to see a Sikh there, but maybe he would be the bookmark personality for a group of people, so that you see him sticking out like a sore thumb, and then you remember all the others that are with him.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say
Um,
you would draw some attention.
so maybe that's something to be managed.
Well, you can always go with you know, I don't know, the prevailing attitudes of the time, and you could just call him your body man, right? Like your assistant or your adjutant,
Yeah,
and he'll just be quiet, you know, be
yeah,
overlooked.
that well, true. That's a
That's
good cover, I
interesting.
suppose.
Um,
So we're talking about stashing. Well, first we're talking about how do we refer to each other, right, Kyle?
Yeah, or I don't know if this is a thing where we feel like we need cover names or something to that effect, or whether it's
Well, we
we
do
leave it up
because
as
we're
we go along.
meeting a contact, right? A German contact. We don't want
Right,
to come out in the open, even though she knows we're operatives, right? She asked for us,
right,
so
right.
um,
I,
yeah, maybe that's a good idea to come up with that first.
well, I realize this is session one. We got a lot
Yep.
of names to come up with, so maybe
Hmm.
that comes out in the fly or something. Um,
Sure. Okay.
uh, so I'm getting the sense that we get a hotel room in Vienna somewhere. Slim has sort of a duffel bag full of suspicious uh, equipment that stashes in the room,
don't mind
right?
that. It's just my plumbing equipment. It's just pipes and stuff. It's fine.
Yeah.
uh, I don't know who's going to take sort of the social initiative here. Um, my meathead character might not be the one to do that.
No, I don't have anything to store,
Yeah.
and let me see what do you guys look at for as far as persuasion? Where are you at? I'm at a 3, but I don't have any focuses.
That would be a 0.
Okay, let me.
The inspector does very well in persuasion. He has a 3 and a deceive focus.
We can deceive
Okay.
the.
I've
See-
been dealing with the criminal element for such a long time. I'm afraid I've learned a few things from them.
Right.
Let me take a look at mine. Of course, one of the primary advantages is that Henry speaks. He doesn't just speak German; he speaks German like a native.
Oh, okay.
That's a huge advantage. We should use that, I think.
Like a Berliner. Let's see. I'm looking for persuasion. I have a 2 with a focus in deceive.
You might have a better shot than us with 3s. I don't know. It'll be depending on the mechanics. Well, we don't really need a deceiver, though, right? She's asking for our help.
True.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything.
No, just
Weird.
explaining the focus. I don't have a focus in charm or innuendo.
Well, I think I'm the logical choice to be the face man for this one, I guess.
Sounds good.
Because it has a 3.
I've got this idea of like, us pulling up in a cab, and like Slim is like looking around. He's never been to Vienna, or he's like looking around, sort of like the tourist, like looking up, at big buildings
Right.
and whatnot, and being a little bit not overly conspicuous, but more conspicuous than the rest of the group. A little nervous.
Yeah, so you could be the driver, and the other 2 maybe walk in after I walk in, and I sit down at the. Do I know what she looks like? What's her name again?
You don't know what she looks like. Her name is, and I'm not sure in German if it would be pronounced Gisela or Gisela, Gisela. Last name is Waltrun, Waltrun. And you don't know what she looks like, only that you were to meet her at table 4 at Cafe Gugelhupf. Cafe Gugelhupf is in the Innenstadt, basically the heart of Vienna. It's tucked away on a back street to the extent that you would think that the owners don't really want people to know it's there, but it's obviously a well-known place. The people who know, if that makes sense. And it is very popular for its excellent coffee, and it's Gugelhof cake, which is basically a type of German marble or Austrian marble cake. It has a large glass front, and many of the windows have been removed to allow the summer breeze to pass through the place. There's tables set up with chess sets, and there's a number of people playing. Um, an interesting observation that I'm just going to give you guys all without a roll is that despite the summer heat, because let's be blunt, this is late August, a number of the locals, especially men, are dressed in, shall we say, more traditional alpine costume, as opposed to just the normal standard daily male dress of the time. It's kind of an interesting oddity.
Alpine and like lederhosen Alpine, or like I'm working up on the mountain kind of Alpine.
Working up on the mountain kind of alpine.
Okay. So are you saying climbing gear and stuff?
Yeah, heavy coats and that type of thing. Because even in summer, up on the mountains, it can be cold, right?
Sure.
But you're not
Right,
up in the
sounds-
mountains. You're down in the sea.
Right. Okay. Have I been to this cafe before in my travels?
Um. Well, generally speaking, the answer would be no. Now, this would be the instance where we could create a truth where the answer to that is yes, except creating a truth requires momentum, of which you guys have none.
Okay.
Now, actually, let me back up 1 second. Khan. Oh wow, I'm gonna have to call you Sing. Um,
Inspector General will do.
yeah, that's right. Um, as a spellcaster, you do have to bind your spells on a daily basis. And I wrote out a bit in the text when we were chatting yesterday about that. You have enough power that you don't have to pick and choose what spells you have. You can have them all, but you do have to bind them. Okay, which you bind them every day when you get up. They bind to your mantle, which is your basically your metaphysical magical cloak where your spells live, and spells as a general rule, when you use them, they don't go away. They stay in your mantle till you rebind the next day. So it's not like a wizard casting a spell. Once he casts it, it's gone. But you do have to make a binding roll. It is difficulty 0, and the roll would be your...
Insight.
What's that?
Is this an insight roll?
It would be your spellcasting stat, which I believe for you is insight.
Yeah.
Yep. With let me just get this right, because I've only played this a few times, so I don't want to screw this up. Okay.
No problem.
You would click the D20 next to insight. You would roll
Yes.
2 dice.
Gotcha.
The appropriate skill is academia, and the occultism focus does apply.
Just a moment. There's many. Interesting. It didn't ask me specifically for. Hold on. Let me cancel. This is just the first time, and there's like 5 questions. So dice 2.
Yep.
Relevant skill is academia, but it doesn't. Then the next question is, does a focus apply? I say yes.
Yes.
But it doesn't ask me which one. I guess it's a material. Which
Yep.
one? It just
It
takes
doesn't
my
matter
word for it.
because it bases.
And then the
Yep.
4th question is difficulty.
Difficulty
you
is
said?
0. Yep.
0. Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So you rolled 2 dice, and you had 1 success. Because you rolled, if you hover over the 2, it shows you rolled a 5 and a 16. You can actually hit show details, and it shows you the breakdown of everything. And your target number was 14 or less, and you had 1 die that was a 5. So you gained a success. The difficulty was 0, which means your team has 1 point of momentum.
How do we track that? Where does that go? Is that on the sheet somewhere?
It is not on the sheet. It's something that I can certainly track and keep you guys informed of, or one of you can track it. I do have to keep track of threat, which, just so you guys are aware, I have 4. Which is actually a very low number. It's 1. This adventure's 1 per character.
I don't want
All
to
right.
add to your workload, but
Team
perhaps
has
it's more definitive if you hold on to those
Oh,
numbers.
it's fine. I got a notepad right here. I'm straight.
Okay. If you prefer that we do it, I'm happy to volunteer. I was
That's
just
fine.
thinking because we each contribute. I didn't realize that we each contribute to a pool of momentum. I thought we had our own.
No, it's a group pool which
Gotcha,
can
gotcha.
never go above 6, and whenever
Correct.
a scene ends, you lose 1 point.
Okay. Well, good start anyway. We got
Yeah.
momentum.
Which technically, Pilecki, we have to do the same roll for you for your spells, but we can do that when you get that figured out. Assuming you haven't already. All right.
So
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I am figuring that out right now. So
Wow. Is anyone else getting a ton of static from?
I'm getting
Yeah.
static. Yeah.
from me,
Yeah.
yeah, try reconnecting.
Or like replug in your mic, maybe.
Yeah.
It might be loose.
does that sound any better?
No,
Nope.
it's bad. Are you using a separate mic, or is it built into your laptop?
All right. Apple AirPods.
You're clear now.
Man.
Much better.
Clear now?
Yep.
Okay. Just the connection. Okay. Get off now. Yeah, so I chose my spell. Let me finish putting in the stuff. It's real quick here. I chose, where's it at? Remote viewing.
Okay. And what does remote viewing do exactly? Because I have not memorized everything yet.
Well, it is. You can glimpse things which are distant and hidden, gaining knowledge of things that should not be able to know. Skill is observation, difficulty 2, cost 2, drain and piercing 1, and the duration number of rounds equal to the psychic's power, which am I at a 2 if I understand the sheet correctly?
You're at a 3 because you get 1 automatically for being a dabbler plus 2 for your attribute bonus.
Which is the observation, right?
Right.
Right,
Um,
okay.
and then remember, because you're a dabbler, at any point you can choose to give me 2 points of threat and gain an additional 2 bonus
Got
to
it.
your power. Um,
Got it. Okay. Let me drop this in there. And so that's what I'm doing. And so I need to prepare before we leave also,
yep,
correct?
yep. So in your case, it is going to be in your case, it is going to be a reason academia role with occultism as the focus. So
Okay.
just when you get there, just click the D20 next to reason, and I can walk you
Reason.
through the prompts.
And reason is up there. Got it. Okay. Reason. Agility. There it is. Yep. Did hold on. Oh, Christ's sake. Too many windows open. Sorry. Input value. So 2 dice
Two
or,
dice. Yep.
yeah. Relevant skill would be
Academia.
academia. And does focus apply?
It does because you have a focus in occultism.
Yes. And difficulty. Boy, there's a lot of inputs for this. And difficulty would be
0.
uh, a 0. It says 2 here.
Well,
Oh, 0 is for
binding is
learning it.
yeah, binding
Got
is
it.
0. Yep. Wow, 3 successes giving you 3 bonus momentum. So you guys are going to start this scene with 4 momentum.
Outstanding.
And we do we put that anywhere?
I got it tracked here.
You got it tracked. Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Which then gets to the back to your original question. If you wanted to spend momentum to create a truth that you know Vienna very well, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Creating a truth costs 2 momentum.
Uh, I mean, you got. I don't think we because it's a group stat, right? Do we want somebody that knows Vienna?
What do we think the advantage is of knowing Vienna?
Things being out of place, characters like identifying dress that doesn't look copacetic, like alpine dress during the summer.
Yeah,
If we
We
and
weren't
can
dead.
create that truth at any time, though, right?
you can, yeah, you can create a truth pretty much anytime.
Okay,
Maybe we should.
well, we can just hold that, I suppose.
It's actually a really cool retconning tool, also, because I was listening to one game where the party separated, which always works out. Is always the best
Sure.
thing to do, and to follow a couple different separate leads, and something happened to one group of two, and they didn't make their rendezvous time. So they used 2 momentum to create a truth to retcon where they had decided that if anything happened and they weren't able to meet the rendezvous, there was a second rendezvous time like 12 hours later at a different place. And I thought that was creative use of creating truths. Creating truths will get more understandable and obvious as you the more you play. So, all right.
Got it.
So my question now is, have we arrived at the cafe yet, or are we still deciding what we're going to do? Or
I
I
think
said,
we're just finished up with the hotel, right? And then we're going to
right,
decide how to
all
get
right.
there and who goes in.
So I have a question then. Um, I'm assuming that a service revolver is technically an item that's reasonably easy to hide, but on the other hand, it's not a foolproof,
Yeah,
right?
so certain items have the hidden quality. which the hidden quality makes it that you can easily hide it in a coat and walk around with it, and it's harder to detect. Something like your service revolver does not have the hidden quality, I believe. You could
It does.
certainly, yeah, you could certainly put it under your coat, that type of thing. But it would be easier to detect for someone who's looking for it.
Well, the old film noir, the cut of the suit or the guy leans forward and you see the butt of the gun or whatever. So I'm going to leave my service revolver. I'm going to leave my service revolver
Hotel
in
room.
the hotel,
All right.
and so that because my feeling is that this is an introduction. We don't know what this chick has uh, uh, hasn't contacted Section D about, and we're learning about it. And besides, I have a fighting knife. I think the fighting knife has the um, hidden quality.
It does.
So I'm gonna have so I have my knife in case something unexpected breaks out in this cafe.
All right, so since I'll be meeting with her.
And I
Slim,
have
you're the drive. You're gonna stay outside, right, Slim, or no?
Well, first off, I'm getting a little static from you again, buddy.
Again, shit.
Secondly, uh, I think Slim's gonna come in with you. I mean, he's a little conspicuous in that he's like never been in a European cafe before, and he's a little like too interested in maybe like the cake and the menus, initially. But he pulls it together. I mean, he knows he's on mission. You can tell he's a little like preoccupied with being somewhere new.
But frankly, it's not a bad thing that he's got that tourist vibe. A tourist vibe is a good vibe to have when you're trying to be covert.
That's fair.
So it's really not a bad thing. People look at him and say,
I got a question for you, Slim.
Yep.
Your character sheet says thinks he speaks German. Is this like Joey and Friends when Phoebe's trying to teach him French, where like one word at a time he's fine, and then when he has to say "Je m'appelle Joey," he's like, "Je bleh." I mean, is that what we're dealing with here? Or-
This is what I have in mind. So like he's got some German. His mother taught him German, right? That was kind of my tie-in. So he does speak German, but he's got a heavy Texas accent. And so, it comes out, it's like sort of Guten Tag, Fräulein, right? And so it's like a very
That was
conspicuous.
awesome.
Um, so it's very clear that he's, uh, not as well read, but he knows the basics.
this just turned into Inglorious Bastards. I wasn't talking to you, Corporal Hamburg, or you, Sergeant Berlin. I was talking to you, Lieutenant. I don't know where you're from.
Right. And I don't want it to be like a game-breaking thing or anything, but I do think it's a kind of a fun sort of idiosyncrasy for him.
I'm in. I like
Sure, that's awesome.
it.
all
Character
right. So,
idiosyncrasies are
so
the best.
the point I want to bring up is um, we have to. It's we're meeting a chick at table 4. We don't know what she looks like, but in a cafe, well, there's only so many tables, and how many chicks are going to be sitting by themselves? And it wouldn't look that great if 4 men sat down with her all at once at her table. So I think we need a lead of 1 or 2 people to sit with her, somebody to hang out in the cafe, just kind of taking in, watching everybody else who might be watching us, and then maybe somebody near the door or just outside the door.
I agree with
Um,
that.
I think that obviously Singh would look super conspicuous if he's just standing around near the door hanging out, or even outside hanging out. He can't be the one. Uh, he should probably be one of them who approaches and sits with her and gets the lowdown, the skinny. What do you guys think?
I agree with
Do we
that.
agree? Do we all agree it's going to look weird if oh,
Yeah, no, I mean, we don't want to like all four sit down with her, but am I? Do I have static again or no?
No, you're clear.
No, you're good.
Okay, clear. I mean, what? Yeah. So what exactly? What I was going to suggest is, two people sitting with her, the other two maybe arriving at the cafe an hour early and just hanging out, so we're not all showing up at the same time. And the other patrons or whoever are in there won't connect us as being together. And then, myself and is it Henry maybe? Slim and Khan can come in early, and then Henry and I will go sit with her. That sound good?
That sounds good. So I get the sense that like Slim walks in after putting a cigarillo out on the sidewalk, and
Mhm.
like strolls in, moseys in, kind of taking everything in, like pulls up a stool to the counter with like a little squeak, and he's kind of like buried in a menu, and he orders a little bit too much food. Guten Morgen, ma'am, and
God.
I'd like to try some of this cake. And then he's very like interested in like this like European coffee that's coming to him. Gets a little wrapped up in that, but sort of keeping an eye out on the cafe.
So table four itself is actually currently vacant. Um, it's pretty standard wooden cafe table. It's got four chairs about it, parked off to one side up against a wall, and there's nobody there. So who's sitting at the? Let me get this straight. I'm sorry. Walter and Henry are sitting at the table, and so is Singh.
Saying, I mean, I don't know, Sharif. I think you'd either hang out with Slim or
Oh, okay. Well, you tell me.
because we just wanted a couple at the table, not to overwhelm her, but to have 2 ears or 4 ears on the conversation.
It's all good to me.
No.
Whatever you want. I shall sit with my good friend Slim.
Right.
I love it.
So natural combination, a Sikh with a Texan.
I imagine the waitress waiting on Slim is giving the two of you quite the side eye. Uh, you make a very odd couple in a cafe in Vienna.
Mm-hmm.
She has never seen men of such honorable countenance.
Yeah,
Well done, Slim.
I'm sure that's it.
So Slim is sort of we're mingling in the cafe before, and Slim turns to Inspector General Singh, and look, Singh, can I ask you a question?
Of course, lad.
How exactly did you get your sergeant to sign off on that non-regulation headwear?
Singh laughs a hearty laugh. Where I come from, lad, this is regulation headwear.
Well, I'll be. They said no to my 10-gallon.
That's good.
And they just kind of carry on that chat, keeping an eye on the place.
All right.
by the way, guys,
Is there any? Now we're just getting into the mechanics of the game. Like observation rolls warranted at this time, or
That I guess it depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
well, right? And we don't. I don't think anybody's been to Vienna yet by the rule of the beginning of the game. So it's not that we can observe much, except I don't know. I don't know. Let's drive on. Let's
All
get
right.
to the table, maybe.
The uh, the uh, the bell at the door rings as a woman enters. She has she is very very well put together, dressed in all black. She's wearing a black long coat buttoned at the front, all the way down that goes all the way down to her shoes. She's wearing black gloves. She's wearing a black hat. with a veil over it. As the door closes, her eyes kind of glance around the room for a moment, or around the cafe for a moment, and they land on Walter and Henry sitting at table 4, and then behind the veil she gets a wide smile, and she walks purposefully straight for the two of you, and as she's coming to the table, she politely inquires of a waitress if she could please get an Einspanner and a slice of Gugelhupf, basically a cup of coffee and a piece of marble cake. And then she continues her approach to the table.
As she, as I see the woman, we don't know what she looks like, right? But I
You do
assume it's
not.
her. And do we have her name or no?
You do. It was Gisela Waltron.
Yeah, Gisela. As she gets close to the table, it's apparent that she's gonna sit down at it. I stand up and in the best non-Polish accent, I say "Guten Tag, Frau." What's her last name?
Waltron.
Waltrip or Walter?
Waltron. Waltrun.
Waltren.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say "Guten Tag, Frau Waltren." I
Um,
presume.
she smiles and she corrects you and says, "Fraulein." And then she takes a seat at the table. Um,
Yes, of course, Fraulein. And I go ahead and sit down after she sits down, and I introduce myself as, and this is where we could have used the aliases, I suppose. Um,
Just make something up.
yeah, trying to.
Well, I have one.
Uh,
I'm going to say, Gut Morgen, Fräulein. My name is Heinrich.
Well played.
In German, of course.
of course.
yep, and I'm Stanislav Stanley, otherwise known as.
Yep.
And we sit down.
She she nods quietly, and she just um she just kind of sits there for a moment. She looks at the two of you just briefly, does a glance around the room, around the cafe again, and and then the waitress appears with her coffee and her piece of cake. She pulls back the veil, and that's when the two of you get to make an insight roll. It'll be an insight observation roll. Difficulty 1. Difficulty 1. And if either of you have the sight focus, you can use that as focus applies.
Okay. Difficulty is the first thing we choose, though, right? So we'll get this. So is it a dice value of 1 then?
No, the dice value is always 2, unless you buy
Okay,
more
well,
dice. Yep.
and you said the observation or the relevant skill is.
Observation.
Uh-huh.
And if you have the
Okay.
sight focus, it'll ask you if a focus applies. If you have the sight focus, the answer is yes.
I believe I do.
And difficulty's 1.
Difficulty 1.
You said it's insight?
Yep. Pilecki with the two successes.
And you said difficulty was 1.
Correct.
Just want to make sure I do it all. This is the first time I've used the tool.
Yep. Oh no, I get it. So Baker had a failure with a complication. I'll come back to that in a moment. However, Walter Pilecki succeeded and gained a point of bonus momentum. So that puts us at 5 momentum. Um, uh, Pilecki, as she pulls her veil back and lifts a cup of coffee to take a sip to it, um, I'm sorry, a sip from it. Her eyes, she's done a very good job of trying to cover it up with makeup, but her eyes are slightly puffy and red. Looks like she's been crying. Now, Baker, if you look at your roll, it said you rolled 2 dice, you had no successes, which and meaning you earned no momentum. You did have a complication. The reason you had a complication is one of your dice rolled was a 20. Complications are it's they have an impact on the game. A lot of times, it's a new truth that's created. The other option is it just gives me 2 threat. I don't really have a complication on your observation roll. It's not like your eyes fell out of your head or anything. Um, so unless you've
That's for
got,
later on in the game, right?
that's right. Unless you can come up with something on the fly, I'm just going to pop my threat up to 6.
Well, I hate to do that, but having being new to the game, I have no idea what kind of complication might apply.
Yeah, it's this is
For
kind
so
of
early in the game, there's no context.
yeah. There really isn't any context. You know,
All right.
complications are easy when you make an attack roll, for example. You
Right.
know, you shoot your gun and you roll a complication. Well, maybe your gun jammed or you dropped it or something. You know, in role playing situations, it just varies depending on the situation, the context. So anyway, we'll just go up to we'll go up to 6 threat. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Are you guys sure we
Oh,
want to do
good.
that?
Okay, so the insight I had was it looks like she's crying. Right?
Correct.
Was crying before.
Correct.
That's a natural ability having 3 daughters for me. Because
You,
somebody's
you,
always crying.
I'm sorry, you're staticky again. I missed what you said.
Again,
Yeah.
He's her droid.
headphones. I was saying that's a natural skill for me having 3 daughters. Because somebody's
Oh,
always,
yeah.
I can throw that from the football field away if they've been. Anyway, so she sits down and I say to her, I understand that we might be able to help each other.
Um, she she looks up at you as you say that. She sets her coffee down. She picks up her fork and says, "Why don't we just enjoy some coffee and cake?"
Sounds good to me. And so, is this still European where you go up to the counter and order? You think?
There's actually this cafe actually has a lone waitress that is bouncing around
Bouncing
the
around. Okay.
cafe because it's as much as this place is tucked away on a back in a back street. It's actually very busy. The place stays pretty
Okay.
full, it seems.
So, I nod to her and, I look for the waitress to order something else. And when I do catch her eye, I just raise my hand to hail
All right,
her over. That's what I do.
very good, Mr. Baker.
Well, when she comes over, I offer my order to mimic Fraulein's order, coffee and what looks to be a pretty impressive marble cake.
All right.
I have a question. Um, am I from this from what she said so far? Am I able to detect an accent in her German that tells me where she might be from?
Um, yeah, you could do that. That would be an insight with observation. Um,
Like I
and
just failed.
yeah, like you just failed. Uh, and I would allow you. Well, let me think about this for a second. There's a couple ways we can go about this.
Okay.
You could do an insight with observation with a focus in hearing, or you could do. I could easily make an argument, and this is where you guys will have to. This is where you guys will have to work on this moving forward. You could easily make an argument that this could be reason academia with a linguistics focus instead, if that's better for you.
Hmm, not for me. Um, I'm trying to decide if it matters if I can tell where she's um, from her German, from her accent. Um, generally, generally I would think, everyone has an accent, right? Whether you think you don't or not. Every American has an accent or a null accent that tells you what region of the country you're from. So I would probably say most Germans would think Heinrich's accent is very Berlinish. Um, I learned a little French working for my job, and most French guys would say my accent is Parisian. But that's where I learned my French words from, were people in Paris. Um, all right. I'm not sure it matters, so I'm gonna let it go. It was just to try and make some small talk.
Oh, it's not a big deal if you wanted to do it. It'd be difficulty one.
All right, let's give it a try. Let
Or,
me.
or
Or
there's another option. Guys, looking if you look at momentum spends outside of combat, um, there's a third one down. Obtain information. You can ask the game master a single question about the scene per momentum spent. I must answer truthfully, but I don't have to give complete information. Question must be, uh, uh, well, in this case, there's no test being done, so that last line doesn't really matter. But obtain information momentum spend is a good one that you guys should be aware of and plan to use often, I think.
okay.
Because now, don't get me wrong, there's sometimes where you want to roll. If you think you've got a really good shot at the roll and could gain momentum, you may want to roll. But rolling has the downside of potentially getting a complication. Whereas sometimes you can just try to use obtain momentum and make that determination that way.
May I interject something here?
Please.
Just because it's something that I learned yesterday in our conversation, and I feel like the group needs to know because it concerns our shared momentum pool. Um, Spells in this game are very interesting because they're very, very powerful, but they come with a huge cost. And one of the costs, the obvious one, is immediate. So it's kind of like a lightning bolt that damages me or the caster and the target. Even if I were to cast a spell and miss, I would still take damage. So it's almost critical to use momentum to make sure that if you cast a spell that it hits. Otherwise, you're just getting all the negatives with none of the positive
Momentum or fortune.
or fortune, right? So as a group, so the way I see, I don't know because like you guys, I've never played this game before, so I don't have any context. But what it seems like to me is that, do you guys remember when we played Conan and we had like the equivalent of like momentum, and there was like all these mooks for like 90% of the adventure, but then we get to the real challenge, the class A demon summoned by the wizard, and we're like, oh my god, all of a sudden we're almost all dead. I think like momentum, when it comes to magic, now I'm not talking about like role playing concerns or we really need to figure out who the murderer is kind of stuff. What it just like magic. right? Momentum, we're going to have to save a good percentage of it if we want magic to work. So keep that in mind.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a real
Keep that
good
in mind.
point.
We did
Yeah.
like a test yesterday with Marty, and like it was really hard to hit, even with a decent rank in the skill. It was hard to hit, and if I didn't have momentum to add to it, I would have missed and taken like 18 points of damage on a miss. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
it's like that.
The flip side of the coin is we did another example where we spent one of his dice as a fortune point to give him two automatic successes, and then we spent one momentum to give him another die, so he still rolled two dice in addition to his automatic one, and he ended up not only hitting but then doing damage. He took some damage himself, but like whatever he had hit with that spell would have probably outright died unless it was the big bad of the game. So,
That's the other good thing to have momentum for is if you do hit and you really need this thing to die, you can just throw a bunch of momentum on top of the damage to make it the damage even worse
yeah.
for the victim. So it's good to have it. If you don't, if I had to cast a spell right now, it would be I wouldn't want to. Let's put it that way.
No,
And now fortune we get that's sort of like in other games like the fate points are like the reward you get for good role playing after the chapter kind of a thing. Is that what that is?
No, the fortune points are something every character gets. You get three of them. They regenerate at the end of the mission.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I start with 3. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't see that before.
No,
Okay,
it's okay. It's okay. I when the mission is over, you get them back. Now, not the scene and not the act, but the whole mission. But the point is, use them because that's what they're there for. There's definitely a time. It's definitely resource management. There's times when you're going to want to save it, and there's going to be times when you want to burn it. But But they are there for you, and you can gain fortune points. And I gave you guys handouts that list all the fortune spends and stuff like that, but you can gain a fortune point in the middle of a game. If you've burned all your fortune and you're out, but you know you're going to need at least one more later on, you can purposefully fail a skill roll to gain a point of momentum. Or not point of momentum, point of fortune. Now, there has to be a real drawback to failing that skill roll. It has to have a measurable impact on the game. But and an example of that would be we're fighting a bunch of German bad guys. There were four of them. They're down to one. It's my turn. I'm out of fortune. This guy's already wounded. I'm going to fail my skill roll to gain a point of fortune. That really doesn't count because you know the next player who goes is probably going to take this guy out anyway, if that makes sense. So, anyway, that'll be a judgment call on my part. We'll get to it when we get there. But anyway.
all right.
Sorry.
Well, I'm a firm believer in not making frivolous use of fortune points and momentum.
Well,
So,
and keep in mind, your momentum also drops by 1 at the end of a scene, and it maxes out at 6, and you're at 5 right now.
a scene
I
is
thought-
what like. Is this a scene,
This
or
is
is
a
it like
scene.
other games, like in when we played Aliens? You know, where at the end of a couple sessions, it's like a chapter type of thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
I know what a scene is in terms of
A,
writing,
a
but in
scene
terms of this
is
game,
missions are broken down into the mission is the large category, followed by acts, followed by scenes. So an individual
ah,
act could have multiple scenes in it.
Roger,
So this would be a scene.
makes sense. Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
No problem. No problem. We're learning as we go.
all right. Are
All right.
we doing the language thing or no?
Well, just because we're trying to learn, why not?
All right. So spend a point of momentum.
Well, I don't want. It's
no,
at
go-
1 point.
Yeah, it's 1 point. Obtain information's 1 point.
Okay. So walk me through how that works then. Spending a point of momentum.
Yeah, which I'm tallying for you. You're at 5. So you would say I want to spend a point of momentum to use obtain information, and I'd say great. What's your question? Then you phrase the question to me. We drop your momentum down, and I give you the answer.
Okay, so let's exercise different parts of the game. So yes, we'll spend a point of momentum, and um, specifically, um, our- we're speaking German, so her the accent. Where does it appear she's from based on the accent in her German?
She has a slightly clipped way of speaking that that very slightly omits the ending sound of her words, and when she said Guten Tag, you realize that the G at the beginning of the word had a very slight J sound to it, which would indicate she's from Berlin,
Oh, like me.
like you. Yeah, she sounds like you.
Okay. Well,
Um,
we're in August, right?
you are in August, yeah, August 29th, something like that. She
And we're in Austria, right?
You're in Austria, you're in Vienna,
Vienna. Yeah.
and she sits quietly and starts to eat her cake and occasionally sip at her coffee.
And we're still waiting for ours to show up.
She Her hair is kind of chestnut, and it's cut and curled into what is now currently a very fashionable style, and she has very green eyes, for what that's worth.
Okay.
Green eyes.
Two girls with green
That's
eyes?
right. I will marry both women. I knew that was coming. One of you had to drop a big trouble in Little China.
What does it mean?
I will marry both women.
I'm going to give her room to and wait until she speaks
Okay.
and not pressure her. Just play it cool. And please let me know if the static comes back. I'm not trying to be ignoring.
Okay.
I
Oh,
just
no
can't
problem.
hear it on this side, and I'm trying to figure out what it is.
You're totally clear now.
She,
Well, I'll just
go
I'll
ahead.
just well I'll just do some small talk, and I'll say, Fraulein, you seem to be some distance from Berlin. How do you find Austria this time of year?
She, uh, she looks at you for a moment and she says, uh, it's very warm. And, and that's about it. She's very succinct. Um, but then she adds, I find it a little warm to my liking.
Well, it is summer after all.
I
I
much,
look outside and I notice some of the make a point to show that I notice some of the people in alpine gear, and I say, well, it looks like it's cooler in other parts of Austria near here.
she kind of raises one eyebrow, um, for a moment, and says, it is very odd that they would be dressed that way in Vienna. It's almost like they're making some sort of fashion statement.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known those that work on the mountain were into fashion.
Mm, it's true, but it doesn't seem appropriate to be dressed that way while out and about the town.
Indeed. Any insight in why that might be, Fraulein?
Oh, I don't think that such is a discussion for polite conversation.
I see. So impolite happenings
Make
occurring
a
around here.
make an. I'm gonna. If you want to, you don't have to, or you can go about it another way, of course. But I would say, based on that statement, that would be observation. That'd be inside observation with an instincts focus if you have it.
Don't believe I have the instincts, but
Difficulty one.
I have sight. Yeah. So yeah, I'll give that a try. So it's an insight with observation, right?
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
Always two dice unless you buy more with momentum or fortune, and it's yeah, and
there's
difficulty
no
one.
focus.
What's Con and Slim doing?
So Slim sort of like scarfs down this marble cake, and he's a little too interested in the coffee. Um, there, there's he's sort of making small talk until this woman came in, and then he's trying to sort of like look over his shoulder, and then and he says, "Sing, what do you think? Should I take a closer look?"
Closer look at what, my boy?
I gotta. This coffee been shooting right through me. Figured I run to the restroom.
Very well. I'll mend the post.
Yes, very well. And he tips back the rest of this small little coffee, designer coffee, and he gets up from the stool and he sort of moseys on to the restrooms in the back, and just sort of it's sort of like observing the general cafe.
Okay. Since you made that last statement,
Uh-huh.
if you want, you can make an insight observation roll with sight focus if you have it.
Okay.
Walter, your roll there gained a point of momentum, which puts you guys back up to five. Um,
So just so that I'm, since this is the first roll for me, I'm
yeah,
clicking that little D20 by insight.
correct.
All right. And then dice number.
Is always two unless you spend momentum to get more dice.
Gotcha. And I do not have any focus or anything. So I just hit submit and that's it.
Yeah, it'll ask you for the. It should ask you for the associate skill, which is observation.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
And then
All right.
difficulty one submit. Yep. Um, Walter, her response,
Oh boy.
just a bunch of people doing their thing. You had no complications, so her response, obviously, it was. There's a sense of distaste in her comment on the on and there's a sense of distaste in regards to her reaction to the men walking around in these alpine manners of dress, to the extent that you're sure she knows what's up about it and she doesn't agree with it, um, uh, but you doubt that pressing her on it in this instance will reveal an answer, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Slim looks around the cafe as he starts to make his way to the restroom, and before he knows it, he's urinating in a sink in the kitchen.
Uh,
No, it's not quite that bad. I'm sure you find the restroom.
That's funny.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, let's see. I do have, I do, although I don't have any focuses on it, got pretty good persuasion. I'm not sure how I would articulate this. Let me think about it. I don't sense that she is willing to speak more about the Alpine gear. But she came here wanting to talk about something. I when I'm using one of these skills, I mean this, we're way into like the Call of Cthulhu kind of role playing here, where we gotta talk about dialogue and stuff. We're not. This isn't D&D. So, um, how much do I have to articulate what I would say to her if I wanted to persuade her to, oh, I don't know, trust me more than the average Joe walking into a cafe?
Um, eh,
Do I have to? Do I need to role play that, or does the persuade role kind of just
no,
do
I
it
mean,
for me?
role playing it out is always fun, but if you're having trouble articulating and you want to make a
Yeah.
persuade roll, that'd be fine.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
trying to relate to her that, we are who we are, but, without too much information, and that, at least at this table, her presence is safe with us,
I
is
gotcha.
what I'm trying to articulate.
I
And
would
so that,
use I would use you can choose between reason or will for the base of the roll. Obviously, using persuasion, and I don't know if you have charm as a focus, but that would certainly
I'll take a
apply.
look. I don't think I do. So I want to use either reason or will,
Yeah,
correct?
whichever's higher is fine.
So I'll say reason,
Okay.
right? And then it's always a two. Relevant skill would be, um, did we say
Persuade.
observation or persuasion?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And I don't have any focuses in it, so no focus.
All right, and
I don't.
we're just gonna call it difficulty one.
All right, dude, I love this character. He's like Max from Alien.
You did have a success with no
Yes.
complications and no momentum. Um, she she very subtly lifts a finger as you try to intimate this to her, and um, she glances around the cafe and she lowers her voice and says, "There are people everywhere." And then she lowers her finger. Meanwhile, she also she's not finished her cake, but she's finished her coffee, and the waitress shows up, delivers your food and coffee, and she orders another coffee. Um, when the waitress walks away, she lowers her veil, gets a really friendly smile on her face, and says, "Thank you so much for coming to meet me today. We must do this again sometime. It was such a pleasure to see you." And she reaches into her handbag and she deposits some money on the table, and she stands from her chair, and she makes to leave.
Way to go, guys.
Yeah. It scared another girl off. Lucky. No,
Quick,
so
tell her about your baseball championship you won in high school.
yeah. So
Were
I
they playing
stand up.
Poland? Were they playing baseball in Poland in the first half of the 20th century?
I'm sure somebody was. I stand up to meet her politely and standing, and say I do as well. Uh, if we wanted to meet, how should we connect?
She says, uh, she says, I will contact you for another lunch date soon. And then she looks at the two of you pointedly and says, uh, "Don't forget to pay the waitress." And she says goodbye to you in a very European style and sweeps her way towards the door.
Auf Wiedersehen, Fräulein.
Right. So I
Till we
tried
meet again.
desperately to make contact with Con and Slim, who I'm sure are watching what's happening here. Right, boys? You
Yeah,
do
I kind
that.
of get the impression I'm coming back from the sink, and like kind of a little confused
From the
look,
kitchen sink.
and and
I moved my head like towards her, like go follow that one.
all
All
right,
right.
he gives a slight nod and just heads straight past the party and to the door.
All
I'm gonna
right.
sit back down. I'm gonna sit back down to sip my coffee. Uh, pull a few marks out of my pocket and reach over and reach over to the money she's left on the table and slide it towards me.
Okay.
To anyone watching, ostensibly, I'm just getting ready to pay for everything and figuring out how much money we have altogether.
Right.
And did she leave coins or a bill?
Bill.
So I'm going to inspect the bill.
All right. This is just this would be a D0 cost. Under the bill is a small scrap of paper,
Okay.
so you don't have to roll for anything. It's this is one of those things that you really shouldn't miss. Um, I'm going
Well,
to go ahead.
frankly, frankly, I put my hand on it and slid it over
Yeah.
to, towards me before I lifted it anything up.
Right.
So I spotted the paper.
Yeah.
Um, I'm uh, I'm uh, I'm gonna let the paper slip into my offhand and make a flourish at counting our marks, and I'll wave to the waitress because I need to know how much I owe her.
Right.
And
Um,
while that's going on, I'll slip the paper into my pocket with my other coins.
so you can make a coordination roll,
Coordination.
and
Okay.
I will for the appropriate skill. You can use either stealth or persuasion, whichever's higher. Do you have a focus in persuasion or stealth?
I do, but they wouldn't apply to this. I have urban stealth
Yeah.
uh, and disguise. Well, if you look at stealth, maybe this is an urban setting. I don't
I
know. But anyway, my stealth is 3. So,
I would let you use the urban stealth focus. So yeah. So
all right.
do coordination with stealth and the urban stealth focus.
All right. So, let's do
And I'm gonna roll 2d20.
coordination, stealth, focus. Yes. And the difficulty is
Just call it difficulty 0
0.
because it's actually well, I can't tell you why, but I'll tell you
Okay,
why.
that's fine.
You'll
Don't.
find out.
That's fine.
All right, so you had a total of two successes. All right, so you very surreptitiously drop the slip of paper into your pocket. Um, while you get all that together, um, Slim, you're heading out of the cafe to follow her. Is that what you're up to?
Yeah, yeah. So I think uh, he follows her, giving her like a lot of space, and then like gets to the door, gets outside, and like lights a cigarette and watches which direction she goes. Doesn't necessarily follow her closely because this is not Tim's. Uh, it's not his skill set.
Yeah, she takes a right out of the cafe and she's heading back towards away from the alley towards a main street. Sing, what are you up to?
So this time that everything's been going on, Sing's been mostly scanning outside to see if the cafe is being watched. So if anybody's watching the woman or watching us. So when Slim gets up to go outside, the inspector will wait a little bit, give Slim a little head start, and then he'll put down the herbal tea he's been drinking, pay, and he will follow Slim. So he's not directly following the woman, but he's hanging back and following Slim and
All
making sure
right. Because you
nobody's up
said
to
what
something.
you said, make an observation roll with insight and a focus on sight if you have it.
And keep in mind that I think our momentum pool is maxed out now.
Well, no, actually, it's at five. Your bonus momentum didn't go into the momentum pool.
I do have a focus in observation, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
instincts. I don't know if
Okay.
that applies at all.
Um, Ew. I'll give it to you.
Thank you. Let me
Oh,
restate what you
interesting.
said. Make an insight roll.
Yep.
Okay, that's two
Yep.
dice with the relevant skill being observation,
Yep.
and a focus applies,
Yep.
and difficulty.
Difficulty one. Oh wow.
Very
Wow,
nice.
look at that.
All right. So now your momentum pool is maxed out. It's at six. Um, there is a there is as you were looking around, as you were watching, you weren't sure at first, but something in your gut told you to keep looking at this guy. There was a man towards the front of the cafe reading reading a newspaper, a local Vienna newspaper, which and he's wearing a relatively inexpensive suit. You got the impression at first that he was keeping an eye on the group, or her. You're not sure which. So again, with your gut instinct, you kind of kept coming back and looking at him, and he definitely had one eye on Gisela as she left the cafe. But something you're not sure what it was, as Henry Baker, as your teammate Henry was counting money and figuring out what he had to pay and what he owed and everything. Um, Something he did caught this German or Austrian man's attention. You're assuming he's German or Austrian, obviously. I guess you don't really know, but he is reading a paper in German in Vienna, so it kind of stands to reason, right? But he something Henry Baker did caught his attention hard. He looked directly at Baker. He wasn't even very subtle about it. Before he went back to his newspaper for a moment. Um, and then he folds up his newspaper and he goes out the door after Slim has already gone out, but before you do.
So he's behind Slim.
He goes out the door and he kind of stops right behind Slim, and then he turns to the left and starts heading down the alley.
Hmm.
So he's not following me.
No,
Gotcha.
is
Interesting.
Slim trying to stay trying to keep people unaware of the fact that he's kind of following Gisela, or is Slim just being Slim?
So I think his initial idea was to just kind of see which direction she heads. Excuse me, it'll tickle my throat. Um, but given, yeah, I think he's gonna give the contact a wide berth, but I think he's gonna try to follow her.
Okay. All right. Um, all right. So she now, and you guys are up to six momentum, so which is your maximum. So keep in mind what you can do with that and
Okay.
whatnot. She heads out of the alley back into the main streets of Vienna, and she is walking along her way. As you turn the corner and get to the main street, make an inside observation with a focus and sight if you have it.
Okay. Let's see here. Difficulty 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you did have a success. It's actually technical. Wow, you had a success on 2 dice. Look at that. Oh, you're pretty good at that, aren't you? Um, and actually, the way I should have played that, it should have been technically difficulty 0. Give me 1 second. Oh, okay. She had 2 successes. So, as you turn the corner onto the main street, following her, she is gone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you don't know if she was aware that you were there or what the situation is, but she has blended in and disappeared.
Okay. I kind of figured it was going that way, but she
She's
had
a
to
ghost.
try. Yeah.
Well, you guys do know she's German military intelligence, so.
Exactly.
All right, Pilecki and Baker. Um, what are you two up to?
Well,
1 second, gentlemen.
Oh,
Is
sure.
it possible to take just a 2 or 3 minute bio break real quick? It's been
Yeah, it's
about
fine. I've had plenty
2
of
yeah,
hours
I
coffee.
need some
almost.
coffee.
Sure thing.
All right, quick break.
Thanks.
back.
Yeah, I'm here too. Um,
All right, I am back. This is a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for inviting me to play.
well,
Oh
excellent.
yeah,
I'm glad you can make it, Kyle. It's
thanks for coming.
Yeah, my schedule is so odd, Jim. It's I was like thrilled we'd had like a Thursday morning to schedule the game. So
well, it's, I thought because it's like I know therapist schedules are so wonky sometimes. I'm like, it might actually work. It's an adjustment, but it's not a bad way to start a day.
oh, definitely. It's funny. Lindsay's in the other room here, and
Uh-huh.
she was asking me like, "What the hell are you doing here so early?" And I was like,
Yeah,
I'm pretending to be a World War II guy."
oh God, she loves the nerds. I'm hoping that our characters get mature enough to use this grimoire that I bought a long time ago when I was trying to get a Cthulhu game started because this thing rocks. It's kind of like uh, it's all spells. That's all it is, and it's like a player's handbook size of all Cthulhu spells.
That's super cool.
It is pretty
Is
cool.
that for Achtung Cthulhu, or is that
It is Call of Cthulhu, but I'm sure you can
I'm
probably
sure it can
adapt
be
it.
adapted.
I mean, the thing is just it's kind of like on a level. It's almost too many spells, but it's kind of
Hmm.
neat. I'll send a picture out for everybody.
Yeah,
very cool?
the there's there's a couple spell books for Acton Cthulhu. There's the Player's Guide, which has just the allied spell books, which are the runic, the Celtic, and the ESP, and
Right.
then the Game Master's Guide has the Axis powered spell books. Um,
Okay.
and there is some nasty shit in there.
I bet that sounds cool.
And then they came out with there's a couple others like the Serpent in the Sands book, which takes place obviously, as you probably guess, all in Africa, and has a campaign in it. It's got a new spell book in it, and then there's another one. Some of the spells are just the same spell reflavored, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, because let's be blunt. I mean, you look at you. Well, you mentioned it. You look at D&D. It's like, how many damn spells do you need?
Right.
Invariably, my wizard always ends up, or warlock, or whoever always ends up using Eldritch Blast all the time. you know,
Yeah.
I don't need 8 different versions of that.
Yeah. We had a player. Was it Will like prestidigit? How do you pronounce that?
Prestidigitation, yeah.
Yeah. I think he was casting that almost every turn sometimes.
Well, that was as I recall, that setting was there was like a plague going on, right? This was pre 2020,
Right. Right. Yeah.
but that's funny.
Do we have everybody?
I'm back.
Oh, okay, good. All right. As it's
Logistics question.
11:49 my time, so uh, we'll see how this goes. All right.
When are we playing till? Just so I have enough.
Uh, Probably somewhere around the 12:30 my time, 11:30 your time.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that
plus or
works.
minus a few minutes doesn't hurt me too
All
much.
right, cool. If I'll type a message if I have to disappear for a few minutes to help my in-laws. They haven't showed up yet, so they're still probably
Okay.
downstairs.
No
I'm good.
problem. Um,
All
oh,
right. So
so
I've called the waitress over so I can pay.
yeah,
All right, so I'll leave the requisite amount and no tip. Tipping would show that I'm an American.
Right.
They don't tip in Europe. It's included. I'm gonna ask Walter to watch my back, and I'm gonna head to the restroom.
All right. Um, while
The
you're doing,
urinal's real weird, so be prepared for that.
I didn't ask him to come to the restroom with me, but I don't plan on peeing in the kitchen sink. That's for sure. Of course, I don't know that happened.
Yeah, that's true.
Just a rumor.
Sing, what are you up to? You went out and you were kind of following Slim. Of course, you noted the guy who went the other direction, who was paying attention to you guys.
Yeah, here it sort of depends on the actual like lay of where people are at. So I I assume that I still have Slim in my sight.
Yeah, he's heading towards the corner going into the main streets.
Right. So is this a situation where he's about to disappear from view?
Correct.
All right, I'll keep following Slim. There's
Okay.
only one of me and two targets, and my job is to protect Slim. So
Very good.
I'll
I think
continue with him. But is Walter Pilecki within sight?
Walter's in the cafe.
Yeah. So I'm on my own. I can't really alert anybody to the presence of this other guy. But I'll just walk on by. I guess the alley that he went through. I'll cast a glance surreptitiously and see if I
Well,
can.
he went the
attain
opposite
any-
direction from Slim.
Oh, okay. So it's not like okay. In my mind, I was
You have
walking
to
past the
choose.
mouth of the alley. Yeah. No, I'm following Slim.
Okay.
That's all there is to that.
So as you reach the corner, you kind of find that Slim is. I don't know if he stopped dead in his tracks, but he is probably walking at a very slow pace as he's looking all over the place. Uh, uh, just in front of you. Um, Mr. Baker, I'm assuming when you get to the restroom, assuming that it's empty, you're wanting to take a look at the slip of paper.
You betcha.
All right, so I emailed a handout to you guys. I just sent it to everybody, even though Baker's the only one who sees it. It's just easier that way.
Well, it's not going to take long before I tell him.
That's the other side of it, right? So if you guys check your email, you should have an attachment for me.
Kadoki. Pull it up. Ooh, I gotta blow that up a little. All right.
Oh, sorry. I hope it's still legible once you blow it up. You know, it's funny. There was one podcast I was listening to that they were playing this exact game, and when they got to this handout, none of them could read it because they were all young, 25 and
Oh,
under.
that's hilarious.
it's in cursive.
Oh, you're kidding? Really? Like
Yeah,
literally couldn't read
yeah,
it.
they literally
Oh
couldn't read it.
God.
They don't teach
Oh my
cursive.
God. Oh, that's crazy. Okay. Well,
I can still write in cursive faster than most of these knuckleheads can type. But okay.
My cursive is unfortunately very rusty.
All right. I'm gonna memorize this
Okay,
and I'm gonna eat it.
nice.
That is awesome.
spycraft.
I like it. Um, all right, very good.
So I get the sense that Slim, he's like frustrated on a street corner, looking around, and he kind of like throws up his arms, and he like turns back and he sees Singh following him, and he approaches and he says, "Well, this is a real humdinger. I seem to have lost her. Why do they drive on the wrong side of the road here?"
Yes, it's quite a conundrum. Incidentally, we were being observed.
He takes a drag from his cigarette. Observed.
Indeed. I'll describe the man I saw and the direction that he went.
Well, shit, we better get over there.
All right. So you guys start heading back to the cafe. What's Pilecki doing? Baker's in the bathroom. He's probably not in there more than a minute. I imagine.
Right. No,
Oh man, I forgot about my sound effects. I completely forgot. I had stuff lined up for this. Man.
oh,
Bathroom sound effects.
No,
yeah.
well, that's what reminded me, but no. I was like, because I thought it'd be a good time for a toilet flushing sound effect.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, that'd be a fun game where the only sound effects you hear are all the unimportant stuff.
That's right.
Pilecki he's just watching the room, up on anything going on, because as he waved Slim out the door with his pet to follow, he wanted to see if anybody else would pick up on Slim leaving the room.
I would say at this point everything seems pretty normal. Baker comes out of the bathroom, and moments later, Slim and Singh come back into view. There's obviously outside the cafe. Yeah. You guys are at 6 momentum.
So we're all grouped up together?
Well, more or less. You two are coming are have just reached back. You're outside the cafe. You've just come back, and Baker and Pilecki are just inside.
When we're together, I'll fill them in on the fact that we were being observed.
All right.
And we obviously share the information we got from sitting at the table with her, which wasn't a whole lot, except that she seems willing to meet with us again. Not knowing the note that was swallowed by Walt or Henry.
All right, so I'm gonna look around to make sure no one's within earshot of us.
I mean, I guess the two of you could just. The way I figure, you guys are all standing outside the cafe at this point. So.
Right. Walter and I headed out the door, and now we're milling about smartly.
All right.
Given that they lost track of the chick. So if we look around, we don't see anyone in earshot of us on the sidewalk.
Certainly no one that looks like they're paying any attention to you two.
All right, so I tell them exactly word for word what the message said. And now I would like to spend some momentum to create a truth.
Okay. And I assume you guys have all read the note?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess for those of you that may be following on YouTube, the note said, meet me where young lovers like to stroll and families to picnic beneath the shadow of the wheel. Tonight at dusk, don't delay. There isn't much time. I don't know who may be watching. Sorry, and
Okay,
so you wanted to create a truth?
Yes. That the truth is that at least one of us has intimate prior knowledge of Vienna.
Which one?
Landmarks. What? Sorry?
Who? It can be you. You can choose
All right,
to choose.
it can be me. I'll make it me.
So based on that, I guess at some point in your travels, you spend some time in Vienna. You can decide exactly what that looks like. But what the note can only mean is the shadow of the wheel. There is a huge park known as the Versalprater, and it has an extremely well-known, famous Ferris wheel known
Ferris-
as the Rising or the Riesenrad or Riesenrad. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. And surely that's what she's got to be talking about, because the park is very well known. It's very popular. It is a common pastime in the evenings for families, for people in relationships to go to the park, listen to music, that type of thing.
Yeah. Now, given just a game logistics, just a game's logistics thing is, I honestly didn't know if we could count on that being a big enough attraction that even as a visitor to Vienna, we would have known immediately or known of it. What I can say is I've personally been to Vienna, and I knew what you were talking about when I read the note.
No.
But I didn't know if my character would necessarily know.
Well, that's what the truth
So
system is.
I solved it with a truth, so we know where to go. And it said meet her at dusk.
Correct.
Hey, Marty, could I, just an admin thing, can I make a special request that would make more work for you, but might be kind of neat? I mean, we're always very map light, which is awesome. I like theater of the mind, but it'd be kind of fun to learn all these European and city locations since they're real.
Ooh, like an
a
Indiana
little
Jones
style map or
travel map.
something.
The line goes across the map as you guys go from
Yeah,
city to
something
city.
like, because since this is an actual location in Vienna, it'd be kind of neat to know that and see it on the map. So if we're ever there,
Yeah, I can probably work something
I
out.
know it's more work, but just,
They
this
do
was-
provide in the mission an actual map of Vienna.
oh,
The problem is it's not a player-friendly map. It's got things on it that you may not.
right.
You know.
Want to know?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll see what I can work out for you guys.
It'd be kind
Okay.
of fun to learn it. Okay, sorry. Just
So well,
Kind of
the
admin.
question is, what do we do now? Because we've got some time to kill. I'm assuming. Well, I don't want to. We need to role play this out. So
Hey, Sing.
let me ask you, Slim and Sing. What did you guys see? Did you see where she went?
Well, I'm ashamed to say I lost her in the bustle out there. But the inspector here said that he spotted someone else a note.
Yes, that's the case. The man seemed particularly interested in the exchange you had with the woman.
Oh, damn. All right, well, hopefully the only people right now who know what's on that note are the four of us and her, because that note doesn't exist anymore. So he doesn't know where we're going to meet, but that doesn't mean they can't put people on us to watch where we go.
I would assume we're being watched now.
Walter, when I went into the lavatory, did you notice anyone watching what I was doing?
I don't think we perceived anything, did we, Marty? No, we didn't.
All right, so we have to. You're right. We have to assume we're being watched. I guess the suggestion is, Marty, a game of or an issue of logistics. If I'm trying to, I want to get my character sheet up here. If I'm trying to spot someone who's following me, I'm assuming that's observation.
It's going to be what's called a contested roll.
Okay. Because they're trying to stay hidden.
Correct. So typically speaking, it would be observation with insight and a sight focus, though instincts focus could make an argument. And it's going to be against their, pardon me, it's going to be against their agility and stealth, depending, and with a focus depending on where you're at. Urban stealth, for example. And then whoever gets more successes wins in that type of situation.
All right. Um, so
Well,
so the question I have for my teammates, because I have a suggestion. It's just that I don't know how well we're going to be at carrying it out. What I'm thinking is, what if we make it more difficult? We make it impossible for a single person to follow and more difficult for multiple by splitting up. When we leave the hotel, because right now we have a bunch of time to kill. Uh, I suggest that we consider leaving the hotel early. She said dusk. We should leave early. We go four separate ways, and we try and spot any tails while we're making our way where we're going. And we don't go directly to the park, right? We meander around Vienna. Maybe get a coffee. You go and window shop, whatever, and try and spot a tail. And if you spot a tail, you might consider leading the tail um, elsewhere or trying to lose it. That's another logistics that'll be fun to play out in the game. By the way, as an aside, is how do you lose a tail? I'm sure that has something to do with agility, but we'll talk about that when the time comes. Anyway, what do you guys think? And we should get there early and scope out the park and keep an eye on the park. Uh, with also the idea of whether she was tailed. See if anybody was tailing her. What do you guys think? They're on to us now, apparently. Whoever they are.
I'm just not keen on splitting up like each of us individually. If something happens to one of us, the rest will never even know.
Well, that's true. Um, yeah, I have to admit I'm playing to my strength, one of my strengths there. To be honest, and so I didn't think about the. It would be good to ask what your skill sets are. Um, me being who I am.
Perhaps we should take a moment to do that because that's a very good suggestion. And in all the previous campaigns, we always kind of started on day one by filling each other in on what the others can do, so we have an idea of our total capabilities. So we kind of stepped over that. It's probably a good time to do it.
Okay, well, let me explain where Henry's coming from, or in Vienna, Heinrich. Where he's coming from, you guys know that he's a crime boss. You don't know all the details of why he's hooked up with the government and on loan to the British to fight these guys yet. But he's got a stealth of 3 under his skills, and his coordination is 9, his agility is 10. So he's and under stealth, he's got urban stealth as a focus. So he's pretty good. He feels like he's pretty good at trying to not be seen or not be followed in an urban environment. That's one of the reasons why I suggested we split up, because I felt that if I could spot my tail, I could lose him. Also, if I have a confrontation, my fighting skill is at 4.
oh, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and then I have also a talent called assassination. So if I'm deadly against unaware foes, so if I could spot the tail and circle around, I might want to lose him. But on the other hand, I might decide if I spend 2 momentum to perform an assassination, then I get an intense effect, and basically, um, it gives me some pluses on damage. And if I'm successful with the assassination, it happens silent and it can be heard by no one. So between the fighting and the assassination, and the fact that I carry a fighting knife, it gives me some advantages if someone tries to mess with me, which leads to your issue about being separated if something happens.
Right.
So
So what you're saying is that you're safer than most of us, right? When you're by yourself.
yeah, so you're breaking up a little bit, but
Oh, yeah.
so anyway, so I have to admit, my suggestion was based on my character strengths. So sorry about that. Where do you guys stand on like observation and agility and stuff like that?
I am not built for subterfuge. I am built for the opposite of subterfuge. Um, from a role playing perspective, I don't mind if he goes off on his own.
But that's perfect. The combination's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, we got a good range in our party, I think.
That leads to
What are
that
the
leads
what?
to-
So what are the skills that
So-
Slim has?
So I'm let's see here. Vehicles fighting are at 3. He's got resilient observation 2, athletics 2. So he's sort of like he's a soldier. He's a tank. Again, no pun intended. No academia, no medicine, no persuasion. So he's not very educated. A little bit of stealth, but he's no Henry.
So
To give you some idea, he's got a
Sorry.
bazooka and a machine gun.
awesome.
Both which are in the hotel, right?
Duke Nukem, baby.
Both are in the hotel. Yeah.
It's Duke Nukem. Or who's the hero from Castle Wolfenstein franchise?
Oh,
Not Kowalski. He has a Polish name, though, right?
Blaskowitz or
Blazkowicz. Yeah. That's who it is.
Blazkowicz.
He's going to grow into that when he fully.
Right.
I kind of
Have you
leaned
ever
into
done
like the big weapon guy.
You mentioned it. Have you ever noticed in the war movies and in military movies there is always a Kowalski?
There's always a
There
Kowalski.
seems to always be a Kowalski.
I
Hey,
think
alright.
the first one I ever noticed was from Stalag 17. I think that's where I first noticed Kowalski being used in war movies and stuff. But you're absolutely right. There's even a Kowalski in the animated, like the zoo,
Yeah,
Madagascar. I think it's called, with the
Madagascar, he's one of the
penguins.
penguins.
They do like a running gag,
There's
like a
also
Stalag
a
17.
Kowalski airman in Stargate, the movie, not the TV show.
Right.
The Kowalski penguin in the Madagascar is hilarious because he doesn't speak, and they're always trying to escape. It's like a Stalag 17 reference.
Yeah.
And whenever they need something, like a prop, a tool, or whatever, they're like, Kowalski, get the crowbar. And then he vomits up a crowbar
Yeah, that's
because he's a penguin. He's like, "Bleh," and there's a crowbar hits the ground. It's just hilarious.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. So, Sing, what have you got going on?
So Sing's pretty much a traditional spellcaster, and he's in this game that means a certain school of magic. But he's traditional also in like his stats. I think like he's very high insight. He has an insight of 11 and pretty decent will of 9. He has quite a bit of 3s and 2s in the skill department, mostly observation, persuasion, academia, the wizard stuff. He also has a medical skill of 2, which hopefully will come in handy.
Focus and
he-
observation. Does he have a focus?
Yeah, it's in observation, it's instincts.
Okay.
And he has 2 focuses from academia, so I really went into the wizard thing.
Gotcha.
Instead of trying to cover all bases, I just invested in that. He has fairly nondescript equipment, except for he has a ritual tool, which is like his traditional Sikh dagger, a Kirpan dagger that also has ritualistic uses, and he carries a Enfield service revolver. His spells. He has 3 spells. One is a fighting spell, so like an offensive sort of a. It's not a lightning bolt, but you can think of it as like a laser beam type of thing. He also has a healing spell, which could heal multiple people at once. And then his last spell is kind of a nuke for occult, uh, supernatural creatures. So I guess that's probably all you need to know.
Okay.
That's a lot. Okay.
Walter.
Walter.
Walter's. He's a little squishy. He's only got a brawn of 6.
Ooh.
And let's see, agility's decent, and reason's the best with a 10.
Wow.
Uh, focused a lot on academia, occult, and first aid, and kind of found that as his forte um, up to his current life. So yeah, not good on his own, but does okay on stealth and stuff. Think about a resistance fighter that never wants to meet a force head on, and works from behind the scenes. That's what he basically tries to do. I do dabble in magic, and the one spell or almost skill, I guess, I went down the
Yeah.
psychic
In
route.
in your case, it's since you're a psychic. Yeah, it's functionally speaking, it's magic, but it's obviously
More of a
ESP
skill,
as opposed to Eldritch
right?
or esoteric, I
So
should say.
in my cross training across the continents, America being interested more in the psychic stuff than the occult stuff, I realized that I had the ability to remote view. So I have that. So I'm all about recon, stealth, and
Oh, nice.
figuring shit out. Yeah.
All right. So maybe I have a different suggestion now that we've hashed all this out and we understand what each of us can do better, which we would have learned even with a little bit of training together, I think. Um, what if we stick together? Because as we know, splitting the party always works out great. Not. Um,
I'm a big
what
fan.
if we stay together, but those of us who have good observation and other skills like that, we meander around the city. Um, we meander around the city and make our way to the park, but we keep an eye out and see if we can spot. We know someone's going to be tailing us. Let's see if we can spot them. And then if we can spot them, we can decide what to do. Four of us can't lose them, but I got a feeling one or two of us can remove the threat, so to speak.
I'm in agreement with that. That's cool.
Especially
Same.
if we use our stealth, we might one or two of us might be able to disappear, circle back on the follower, and make him the followee.
Keep in
Okay.
mind, knowing that we're being followed, we can use to our advantage as well, without tipping our hand. If that's more advantageous, we could misdirect them, mislead them. If we know they're out there and they don't know we know, we can use that. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. I'm just thinking of if well they knew that we knew that they knew that we knew.
Well, I was
Okay.
thinking of engaging that guy
Yeah.
like earlier, and I realized, no, why? They don't have to know that we know that they're onto us. I'll just
Right.
let them think I'm a clueless buffoon
Well,
while I secretly deploy my Webley.
while we're while we're all coming up with that plan, I did have uh, Singh do an observation roll,
Oh,
um, and he had 3 successes, in fact, which put your momentum back up to 6.
Yeah,
Um,
boy.
as you guys were just having these quiet discussions outside the cafe, um, the the guy who left the cafe behind Slim but ahead of Yukon, the one that you noticed, definitely was keeping an eye on you guys and noticed that and noticed something about Henry Baker. He appears out of a nearby alley, probably 30 feet away, and he's got somebody with him. He's got another guy with him. Uh, uh, Both these guys, now that you get it, kind of a better look at them in a more isolated environment, they're both pretty good sized guys. They come around the corner and they stop dead in their tracks when they see the four of you standing there. Um, One whispers something to the other, and they turn around and start and disappear back into the alley they came out of.
They were expecting two and they got four.
So Slim exchanges glances with everyone else in the team, and like raises an eyebrow, and smirks. Gentlemen,
After them.
all right.
Well, I need. I'm assuming that Singh, you verify that's the guy.
Indeed. The very same.
Very
Let's go.
All right. Well, let's
Running
keep
into the alley.
running into the alley. So let's. Why don't we
We got
stop
10
there?
minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
before we jump into something that could last
Damn,
a while.
I was about to yell, have at you, miscreants.
I,
I'll have to save that.
I think you'll.
I love
I'm
it.
still hoping we get followed by some other guys because I really wanted to work on my stealth, see if I could circle back and take a guy out.
I suspect you'll have the opportunity.
But let's see how we do with these guys next time.
Yeah.
I want to watch you assassinate somebody.
Yeah, that's
Me too. I wanna
that's
see how
kinda
that works.
I mean, I want to watch it. Kanamir Singh disapproves. Your thuggy tactics are dishonorable, sir.
We would normally be at odds if he was a longtime constable and I'm a crime boss.
Oh, no doubt.
Gotta
Plus, he's a devout Sikh.
we gotta
And, that's
we
all
gotta
about
play
business.
that we gotta play that into the role playing somehow. I'm gonna keep that in mind.
I shall endeavor to lift your soul from the morass into which it has sunk, my good friend.
Oh man, that's awesome.
All right. I see a lot of opportunity here, and a lot of possibilities. This is going to be fun.
I think it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very fun.
So I'm going to drop a note here just on my magic ability. So don't eat the note next time because I could remote view using it.
Well, you could wait a few hours,
That's hilarious.
see if there's any pieces of it left.
Right.
So how does remote view work?
I have to read it again, but there are two instances in the spell that says depending on your spell level, you get to observe a location for 1 to 2, or for up to your skill level. So I guess that's a 1 or 2.
You're
Oh.
yeah, it you can glimpse things that are distant and hidden, gaining knowledge of things that you should not be able to know. Needless to say, this is invaluable for recon and intelligence gathering. It is it lasts for a number of rounds equal to your power, which your power, what is your power? Is it 3
Good
total?
question. I think it might be 3.
It's yeah, because it's 1 plus
Yes,
2 from
3.
your reason, and
Mhm.
then remember, as a dabbler, you can always bump it an extra 2 to 5,
Mm,
but that gives me threat.
right.
But you basically, the psychic selects an object that they are aware of within close range. The psychic can accurately study the object, even parts of it which are hidden from view or obscured, such as reading letters within a sealed envelope or perceiving the contents of a locked safe. Oh, wow, I just came up with a couple really cool uses for this. And they may continue to study the object or switch their attention to another object within range once per round at most for the duration of the ability. Momentum spent to obtain information while this ability is in effect may reveal things which a person could not normally see. Um, the cost of remote sensing increases by 1 damage die for each momentum spent on the following options. So you can spend 1 momentum to select an object within medium range. So it doesn't have to be right next to you. It can be, a little distance away. You can spend 2 momentum for long range or 3 momentum for an object for any object you're familiar with on Earth.
Jesus.
So
Any object I'm familiar with on Earth. Okay.
correct.
All right. So So don't
But you
eat
could
the
take a
note
lot
next
of
time.
damage doing that.
Yeah, right, right.
All right, so I won't eat the note next time. Thanks. Good tip, Egon.
um, Now, for 3 momentum, you may instead choose an object within reach and gain limited knowledge of the past. Additional momentum spent to obtain information may be used to ask questions about the object's history, whether recent or distant. The GM's answers to these questions may be cryptic, and some past events may be unpleasant or even dangerous to see.
Well,
Um,
that's fun.
but still, that's that spell's got some real application potentials. And you did that as a perfected spell, right? That's the
Yes,
only spell you have.
that's the only one perfected. Yes.
Perfect. Very good. Very good. Um, Next Thursday, the
Looks good for
11th.
me.
Next
Looks good
Thursday,
to
that
me.
works for me.
All right,
Roger.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
you got it.
Thank you, everyone.
I really appreciate you guys coming out. We'll see you next week.
All
Thanks
right, it
for a
was
great
fun.
game.
All right.
Thanks for running.
Later.